Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome to yet another episode of The Political Headache. After our last one, Agi, how are you doing?
I'm good.
I don't care. You're my enemy.
Right off the bat.
Fighting.A answer instantly.
Yeah, you just kind of ease into it.
Oh, man. We've gotten to the point where the state is interfering with festivals, co-curricular activities in schools.
Yeah.
I don't think this is necessarily new. But then there's also the argument that we've taken political dissension we've used schools as a stage to settle political scores. And this, of course, is under the backdrop of the play Echoes of War that was directed by the famous Malala, a play that was supposed to be presented by Butere Girls. And there was interference, and there was a whole drama of Cleophas wanting to be arrested. And yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
Give me your initial thoughts.
Why is the government consistently fighting children?
Yeah.
What is that about? Like, can we just agree on principle?
Yeah.
If you want to fight, go fight your people. Go fight the adults outside.
Right.
But 16, 17, 14, 15-year-olds should not be the subject of your attack.
I totally agree.
All the way from the leadership of this country to the police, to the teachers, everyone who is involved in that mess where young girls are exposed to danger.
Right.
It's just like, what?
Oh man, you're tagging a nerve there, because I've been a teacher and I have a soft spot for children as well, because safeguarding. However, can the same argument be made of the people who are non-educational players?
What do you mean?
Like Malala, for example. Would we say that he should also protect kids from?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. He does have a responsibility.
And I say this as a person who, those are our heroes when we were in high school. So I'm going to offer a perspective as a person who's been through high school, as you have as well. High school is where I knew Cleo Malala, is where I knew Amerix. Amerix was a playwright. I think still is a playwright. You had a lot of people like in a Python. There's a lot of people. And there's two sets of co-curricular activities that are in the art spaces when you go through the 844 system. There's music festivals and there's drama festivals. And then, of course, there's sports. It is in very bad taste. I hate to agree with you because it's not good with tempo. It is in absolutely horrible taste that children will bear the brunt of state violence.
Yeah.
If anything, it only but brings the play to life.
Yeah.
What plays did to us when we were in high school and we were going for drama festivals is plays allowed us to demonstrate this state that we didn't have access to.
Yeah.
It allowed us to have a sneak peek into it. Of course, there's a counter argument that there's a reason why, for example, we vote at 18, because children are easily impressionable, malleable, they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
And we should protect children from all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But then the problem I had with this whole Butere Girls situation is the story was, there were people trying to spin it, and even the way the media, the way it was being framed, they were trying to make Cleo the star of the center of the thing. It's not that radical plays have not been written before. If you're an old person who watches this show, I want to bring to your remembrance Betrayal in the City, the books that were written by Chinua Achebe, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Michelle Mugo, your betrayals in the city, your things fall apart, your whatever. And this is not the first time a play is being controversial.
Yeah. That's
being staged. We always staged plays that had to deal with injustice.
Yeah.
And I feel like music festivals, and this is I'm going to say something. It's a warm take, that music festivals sort of drive children into compliance. Music festivals is very heavy on discipline. It's very heavy on conformation and on being on conforming. And the people who turn out the way they turn out from music festival, you can almost always predict that they will end up almost sort of system affirming, almost sort of conformative in some sort of way.
The
apart
people
from
who participate
in music festivals, and especially if you excel within that system, you sort of end up being a system baby. You don't. That's why you don't find them. The people you knew in high school who are powerhouses, the people who used to win soprano solos, alto solos. Why are they not in the industry? Yeah, because they were high notes, and you think. But drama festival is fair game.
Yeah,
bro. Coin musi unakama hapo kucheza role ya shetani. You're like hakuna, like it's brutal, it's whatnot, but they allow you to be yourself.
Yeah.
But two, you also are allowed to wear a costume. So I feel like those people sort of they morph into more free thinking, more exploratory, more whatever.
Yeah.
But then it's getting to a point where that's also being regulated. You know, schools used to get five-year bans. This is not the first time. You used to think it was indiscipline on our side, but now I'm like, oh yeah, if they had a problem with the director, this school used to cool a ban. Like right now, if there was not enough noise around Butere Girls, wangepata a 5-year ban from drama festivals.
Yeah.
Yes, and if they used to be a powerhouse, then they come back. The next time they come back, it's people from junior secondary school who are not they're interested in coding. Then drama dies. Then you find it's people who are, they're STEM guys. They're not used to creative thinking and whatnot, so they want to regulate it the way you would regulate code. 0, 1, 0, 1.
Yeah.
What do you think what's problematic about this whole situation for you? Problematic is it's a dumbing down of the thing. What do you think the biggest issue is with Butere Girls being our subject? What do you think is dangerous? What is the danger of this whole situation?
So there's so many things.
Also, I'm so sorry. That's such a horrible question,
It is a bad
man.
question.
If you get out of it,
it's good.
If you get out of it, man, yeah. I'm asking a horrible question so that you can fail.
You're setting me up for failure.
Yes, I am.
Let's start with where I've started, because I believe that should be a principle.
Yes.
It's not a negotiable.
Yes.
Everybody involved, from Mr. Malala himself.
Yeah.
The people in charge of the festival.
Yes.
Because this didn't come out of the blue.
Right. They went from levels. They started from zonals, you go all the way.
And when you feel the heat coming, make all necessary adjustments to make sure these children are not exposed.
Absolutely.
In wars that have nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
At this point, what they're doing is just vocalizing problems that all of us are talking about on Twitter.
Yeah.
Right? But we know that there's an unreasonable man at the helm of this country who will go to great lengths. I don't know if we forget, but the first time for me that I saw this, the Weston Hotel saga and the children being tear gassed.
The playground.
And he was involved. And I was like, no. A country cannot move forward when we are watching on our screens children being tear gassed.
Yeah.
As they are apparently fighting. They should never ever have to fight for their rights to exist.
I agree.
For their rights to exist with dignity.
Yes.
So that happens. So this is like it just brings back that bile that I felt back then.
Yeah.
So the girls come out. Of course, these are teenagers, and teenagehood is also a season. It's a very formative season of your life. So of course, if you find yourself in a place where you have been exposed to danger and you're now like trying to fight for your life, of course you want to get your you want to get your jabs in as well. Yeah. So there's videos of these girls trying to explain what is happening, and they're absolutely riled up and all of these things. And I'm thinking, which adult allowed this to happen? Yeah. We can't allow this to happen. And for me, so that's the first problem with this whole situation. The second problem is this. Can we make safety of people a matter of principle and government responsibility? You are not just supposed to protect the political elite. like your job is not just to make sure you're protected and the roads are paved for you and whatever other things. Safety is a very important thing. If a nation even wants to exist down the line, right? Safety, the safety of children is not just about today. It's also that like we want to have a robust country in future. That children are the future of tomorrow. It's tired, but it's true.
Yeah,
it's true that for children, for these girls, and we have to keep calling them children.
Yes, we must always. Yes.
For them to become adults that have self-expression and agency and to become wholesome individuals.
Right.
Whose voices have not been curtailed or stifled by anything.
Yeah.
It starts now.
Right.
So if they have to fight for their rights to be now.
Yeah.
For their rights to put on a play.
Right.
We're not saying anything new. We have talked about Kasongo over and over again.
Yeah.
Since yes, you have put yourself in the ring. You've put yourself there as the person who's in charge of the country.
Yeah.
You are going to get criticism.
Yeah.
When you fail, you're going to get criticism.
Yeah.
It's fair game.
Yeah.
You are the president of a country. You are in charge.
Yeah.
You're the powerful one in this case.
Yeah.
It is your responsibility to ensure safety.
Yeah.
I don't know why we do not talk about safety.
Right.
And not in an NGO way.
No.
Not in the like safeguard.
In a human.
Yes. In like we do not do this.
Right.
We don't expose children to harm.
Yeah.
Especially that can be prevented.
Yes. Of course, you might have noticed or not that I was using my phone as you were speaking. This is to affirm the fact that we truly are enemies, and I do not take you seriously. However, I'm joking. I was trying to find out when you mentioned the Langata land saga. I was trying to figure out when that was. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Probably there's a slim possibility, but there's someone who might have been tear gassed by state, but the people who are both in primary and in high school. And I think maybe you don't understand the magnitude of how bad this is.
It's terrible.
Like, do you know, because I come from an educational background, I have taught my entire professional life, which is all of 1.5 days. But yeah, for the years that I have been teaching, when we talk about safeguarding, it involves no contact with children. So yes, I love my students, but I would never hug my students. Not because whatever, but just because if I'm teaching boys and girls, I cannot even think, even the best intentioned hug, I cannot dare expose them to indecent contact because I am their teacher. Now imagine that is an impediment to their safety. Like me hugging a child as a teacher, regardless of my intentions. There's a reason we don't photograph children.
Yeah.
Like, a photograph is such a dangerous thing to children that we blur. We ought to blur their faces. And I say this as a person who, at some point in my political career, I think part of like the soul-sucking part of politics, I think I posted an event or something. I attended an event at a children's home, and we took photos there because we were doing just these regular good things. And I posted photos of the children from the home on the internet. And that was at the height of when, for example, I was still like thinking that, you need motion in politics. But at some point I kind of forgot it. But when I was watching the news, there was a whole segment, a healthy couple of minutes where it was blurry. Now, cameras are dangerous for children. Now imagine children being tear gassed. Imagine children enduring heavy police presence. These are children who already exist in like a horrible environment. They have to wake up at what time 4 and have to go to sleep at 11 and whatnot. And then someone from state comes and says, oh, they should do these co-curricular activities within their day as though there are no lessons, as though there are no what. And so, of course, I do not agree with external players coming to meddle with the affairs of children, but also, like, how far can we take? How far, like people are willing to go that far? Like,
what do you mean?
To endanger children in that way? Like, the most hugs and photos are dangerous enough. But now we're talking children have seen tear gas, they've seen heavy police presence, children have had to stage a walkout on the play, and this is where I'm like, I'm also conflicted about that. It's the same reason why we don't want our children indoctrinated or radicalized, because they are doing this from a good place, as most people are, but then there's also the possibility that they're also just being used for settling political scores. But that's one. But then there's the other aspect. Of, so who's truly afraid? Who do you think is afraid in the system? Because if you argued RUTO, I would say, hold up. In 2013, you will not believe who else found himself in such a situation.
Who?
Cleo Malala. You wouldn't guess the school. Butere Girls.
Again.
You wouldn't guess the name of the play. Shackles of Doom. It was an anti-regime play.
Yeah.
And like, this has always been the thing. And correct me if I'm misrepresenting any fact, but I know there was a thing in 2013 that was also as revolutionary as well.
Yeah.
And that did not prevent the Kenyans from electing whoever the same duo that was being spoken against. And that's why I'm like, we need to find who exactly in this chain is insecure, because I feel like the guys at the top, they don't care however you use your art, because they know it could be inconsequential.
Who is it?
RUTO and Uhuru were president at the time. And they got re-elected. That's what I'm trying to find, because I'm like, he's seen this. Unless, also, at the time,
I'm not gonna. I don't know. I don't think he can be absolved, because even if he's not threatened by it, it's his government has given permission.
Right.
You know, like when you're the head of anything, what you permit, it goes. It goes, right? So it means, even because he has the power to say no.
Yeah.
Wacha watoto waende wafanye play,
because
si ndio my friend?
Ama namna gani?
Ndio. Tuwamalize, warudi nyumbani na
tuendelee.
Watoto wetu
tuko na kazi kubwa. Right.
Like, if he said that, that will go. He's a powerful man. So I can't absolve him.
What's the idea? No,
I cannot absolve him, right? He has to.
And I think I hate to agree with you.
Even if he doesn't call it, even if he doesn't make the call, even if he doesn't say, nimesikia nini, even if he doesn't do that.
Like, the people should know that you cannot meddle with this. That if it gets, like, again, right? Like, ideally, if we have a secure top, the people would be afraid of misbehaving, because they would know that you cannot joke with children at the presidential level. And because eventually co-curricular activities end up in a gala, and the gala is basically a presentation in front of the president. Yes. So therefore, I can see why you would say he cannot be absolved. So
maybe he doesn't want to see that?
I mean, I don't think he determines what he wants to see or not. Those are usually curated
Somebody
for
else
the people down here. However, the person of Cleophas Malala also is a polarizing figure. It's just like me, man. Like, in 2023, he vehemently defended the government. He vehemently called these people goons, and he said they do not have the buy-in of the entire country, that this is not supposed to be happening. And there's the counter-argument that now he's only doing this, he's only interested in this because he is out in the cold. So this is less than a year. A year ago, he was in firm defense and praise of this government, and then suddenly he's outside. He's outside, and then he thinks
he goes to start writing plays.
Yes, and is that entirely true? I don't necessarily think so.
I don't know if it's
because
true.
He's always been pulling this.
All I know is like that he's also not innocent.
Yeah, it's true.
In this whole situation. Yes, the state came for him. Has he been released, by the way?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's just been a lot of noise.
Okay, so
he's fine, but the girls aren't.
The girls aren't fine.
Yeah, the children are not fine.
If you decide that you are going to be the one who writes this play and directs it and presents it, and it's important for those amongst us who can do, who can create art that speak to a better country to do it. Like, just do the damn thing.
Right.
We're not going to say you don't have the right to do it.
Yes.
The problem kind of comes in when now, like, this thing is falling apart,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no one to kind of like you. So now your main thing is now you just want to fight back to
Right.
the government that's hitting you, right?
Right.
Call it off.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Like,
Keep
it would,
the girls in school.
it would be a more revolutionary thing for him to refuse if he truly
record
was.
the thing.
Yes.
I think I saw something. Record it.
Put it
Find
on.
other ways.
Yes.
Find other ways to get your point across.
Yeah.
Because again, with free speech,
Yes.
you have to be given the right to say whatever it is you want to say, regardless of where you're standing or sitting with
Right,
the government,
right.
But just find another way.
Yeah.
It's not do or die like that,
Right.
Tweet. Just find another way. Right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's just that we do not take that seriously, and also, this is also like the problem that came with the Gen Z, revolution last year.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a room that has 30, 40, 50-year-olds, Gen Zs are children.
Yeah.
Which is why the women, when they're talking to you, they're
We're
just
saying,
like,
Toto wangu, don't do this.
no,
Yes, yes.
But the state has this whole machinery around it to make even the most innocent amongst us become villains.
Right.
And so they change the narrative, and the narrative becomes like, the young people are goons, the president addresses the nation and calls the
Treasonous
young people
criminals.
treasonous and calls them criminals. I'm like, who is advising you?
Right.
Or are they even advising you at all?
That's
You are advised by yourself. And you decide.
Yeah.
But I think, for me, even the more problematic thing about it is that, like, we just keep going. Like, we just keep continuing to move.
Yes.
As if nothing has happened.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We need to think about it like a home where a child is lost. What happens in that home?
Right.
Life
It stops.
Life stops.
Yeah.
My whole world, my future, the thing, it stops.
Yes.
That's what a reasonable, sane society should do.
Right.
When our children are in harm's way, we stop everything.
Yes.
We go and protect them.
Right.
Why are we not doing that? What is wrong with us as a society that's not something that computes and clicks, and it's just like we are going to down our tools.
Yes.
Because our children are being killed on the streets, because our children are dying in school.
I agree, and just if you think about it both ways, while we say, because I saw the ministry put out a circular saying that for co-curricular activities, only the people who are registered with the Teacher Service Commission will be allowed to participate in these festivals that involve children, which I think is great.
Yeah.
Only people who are not registered will not be allowed in school premises, and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I think that's totally decent. But if I'm looking at it in retrospect, it got to a point where teaching became such a soul-sucking job that it robbed creativity out of our teachers, such that the people who used to come in to teach us for drama used to be consultants. They still had the fire. They still had, that's why they came, and that's why we would win plays. So we might see a decline in that, because remember, the teachers are teaching you to become doctors, architects, lawyers, and engineers. No one's teaching you to even be a teacher. No one's teaching you to be a musician. Like, they've already bought into the narrative. But also, again, Cleo has always been coming to drama festivals. It's been a thing which is loved. He's always showing off and showing up, showing out. He comes in a chopper and those things, like, because he went. I'll give it to him. But this would be us stumbling upon the inadequacies of that system, where we do not care for our children. We're not trying to provide them with a great education. We're not trying to provide them with, we're not investing in them, because now he's going to go home better. If anything, he scored brownie points with the people, with even more children, with his political career has sort of taken a bit of a leap. But think about the girls. If you staged a walkout, what's going on in their heads? Because they're not thinking this is courage, because they do not have the perspective we have out here. It could be courage, but then there's a possibility of a suspension or an expulsion. There's a thing of them being labeled indisciplined. It affects their friendships. It affects everything. And while we might want to be there for those children, we cannot go there and ask, so how are you today? We cannot befriend them, because they want friend circles within their age group. And in school, they're going to be labeled, because there are people who want to keep their jobs. There are teachers who want to become boarding master or deputy or principal. So they have to uphold this broken system.
Yeah.
So I think this play is not even necessarily as much a plight of state. I don't think of it as much as a plight of whoever, as much as I think the deplorable state in which we have our children, how vulnerable, how exposed they are, and we're barely doing enough to protect them. Because if we had systems, this would still have gone on.
Yeah.
A play is just a play. We've always read texts that criticize the state.
Yeah.
Like the set book I did Mstahiki, the people who did An Enemy of the People, the people who did Betrayal in the City, the people who did, what was this thing that had Tekayo who was eating the liver, the people who did Betrayal, Things Fall Apart by Chinua, The River Between, the people who did The River and the Source, which is feminist text, the people who read Will Rider, which has some really interesting alt views, and we've always done set texts that confront Kifo Kisimani, Kitumbua Kimeingia Mchanga, like we've always done things that confront love, politics, leadership, power, money, those kinds of things. So I don't see why the establishment would just choose to go after this, because it does not mean the kids will start writing plays for themselves. Because we would write plays for our inter-house dramas, and I remember winning as a script writer. If you deny me the chance to write a script, a Form 3 is gonna do it, and they will write a revolutionary script, and now you'll start arresting high school kids. Like, we moved from university, from lecturers, professors, university students, and now we're having tear gas lobbed at kids for wearing costumes.
Policemen are standing there.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so maybe we shouldn't be doing that. I think maybe this is also like, it's a time for us to also just reflect on the things that are permissible versus not permissible, the power dynamics of all of these things that happen, and the responsibility that we have to take, you know, as an auntie, you know, getting into middle age and all of these things. I see how
you're not getting into middle age. Stop lying. Let's go. Continue. Just move along.
I will get there. I am an auntie. I am an auntie of many children, you know. Seeing how the politics of our country has killed the fight in the adults in the room. The adults in the room are not adults. When there's this young girl, did she end up being a women rep, or I don't know what happened to her? The one who stood up against the governor. Where was she?
Was it in Nairobi?
Not in Nairobi.
Yeah.
I think they had this whole thing of going abroad.
Finland, Masi Tarus. Yes. No. That was last year. I know it feels like a very long time. It feels like a very long time ago. But no. It happened earlier, maybe 2023. And then now she came back into the limelight in 2024. Therefore, I think that's what would make you feel like she became a women rep.
That initial video,
yes,
in a room,
it was raw.
In a room full
of people, their parents.
Her parents,
yes,
people her parents' age, going up against somebody her parents' age.
So do you remember even the context? Do you? Let me set the context for you, because I remember it so vividly, because Mercy and I were very good friends. They were in a room and they had been called for this thing, and they were supposed to go abroad to Finland, and they had been called, parents, families of the people who were going, and they were told that you're going to meet the governor. And I think they were told to stay, they were told the meeting would start at 9, and these guys showed up at maybe 1 or 2. So she stands and she says, you call us here in the morning. Our parents, some of them have diabetes. You do not care because there was no food that was provided. You don't care if, like, this is their only hope, and this is how you're going to play with us. And that's what the context was. She was not just at TCG calling out for the sake of asking about if you know the Nini of depression. Like, and just to buttress your point that it actually is true. This is such a soul-sucking endeavor.
It is.
Yeah.
So, like, actually, and my point was, like, in that room,
right,
Mercy is not who should be speaking and fighting.
Right.
She is a child.
Yeah.
She needs to be protected.
Right.
The adults in the room should talk to their fellow adults in the room and be like, hey, listen, this doesn't fly here. No, you cannot do that.
Yeah.
Just sort out your
Uko
issues.
juu. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But our politics have, I don't know, even maybe neutered has
Neutered is actually the
fight
word.
in
Yes.
parents.
Yes.
Because no parent wants to see their child in harm's way.
Yes.
Fighting for her right to exist. Calling out a government that is just,
Depriving of education.
Right?
Yeah.
Gen Z should not be on the street.
Right.
They should be texting
Just,
their friends and
yeah,
being like,
saying,
"Hey,
to
where's
end
the
up in
party
lunch?"
today?
Yes.
It's fun times.
Yes.
You're 21.
Yeah.
Why are you leading a revolution?
Right.
Where are the adults in the room?
Right.
Did they become? Did the fight in them get killed by the state?
I think so.
Because the mothers and the ones who ended up coming out eventually and being like, "Mwache, stop killing our children."
Yeah.
That is what we expected from day one.
But then if you see, even if you observe those mothers, they look like a bit of liberal mothers, the dreadheads, the ones that probably were being called bad girls in their time. And it's not a majority. Because at the time, and this is the role of art, yes, when if you think about what Moi did, Moi was always in your face.
Yeah.
I didn't exist, but I kind of see, and he loved music. He knew music could communicate faster than any other thing would. So people were singing kwe 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 zitolewe shambani mwanyayo, and kwekwe really was just dissenting voices. And that's why you had Kwekwe squad, and that is the squad that was used to kill. Therefore, if you had an assassination that happened, you would be more desensitized, because then the people who are in their 40s are the ones who grew under Moi, and then they are a very silent generation. They take it to the Lord in prayer, and they
so quiet.
Yeah. And if you see the way they interact, they're very like, don't confront. You can't usinini sana, omba tu, yes, those kinds of things. And Moi was in your face. You said the loyalty pledge to the president and the nation of Kenya, to the president first and the nation of Kenya. You drank Nyayo milk. Every news bulletin, that man used to gobble up half the bulletin. So the presidency was in your face. And maybe because he managed to do 24 years, people thought that, this is then the template of how to run a presidency. And the arts can always be used as a force of good and as a force for evil. But man, we can't have children in harm's way.
I don't know how because the part of that Gen Z revolution was that, like, translate this to the parents. Can we? Anyway,
we can't legislate ourselves out of trauma. We can't translate ourselves.
That's trauma,
it
right?
actually is trauma. Yeah. Because
your phone is quiet and silent and like,
and they are seething.
Like, just, but you're being killed.
And if you sit down and they start giving you tea or gossip, you're like, this is what you're sitting on. This is what something which wouldn't fly. I was telling you that Gen Z was when anagongea to Thamos because people wanajaribu kumkataza kuwatch movie kwa ofisi. And he says he's gonna quit on Friday or Monday, depending on when he finishes watching that series.
He's gonna work hard.
Na msimuongeleshe because hataki kuinteract na mafala. But our folks' generation, and you see, for us, conflict is just conflict. It doesn't matter whether you're Kuyo, a Jang, a Kale, or whatever. But for our folks, man, those guys are vile. Those guys are bitter.
They've lived through
some really dark times, and therefore there is a disconnect that we cannot translate into, because it's not a word thing. It's a psyche. It's a thing about the psyche. And until we get to the point where they can fully grow, they can fully articulate again outside speaking in tongues in church. I think that's when we will get to the point where I can say we can liberate them. And I'm not saying that is, but there's, for them, it just, this silencing just made them take it to the Lord in prayer. You find, as we yap about everything, we're very open about, like you see, your grandmother will tell you, and then she has 21 kids.
The grandmothers are different.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
The grandmothers are
them, though, whatever.
Them, they lived at different.
That generation of people who are between 40 to 65 right now.
There's something there.
It's I don't know how we'll, and remember, they're also the ones who are sitting at the helm of institutions. They're the principals, they're the whatever, they're the administrators of of justice, they're the administrators of state. Therefore, convincing them to go against the grain might not be as easy. It might not be. It's not hard, but we're hoping that these conversations get to them.
And hope. Unaskiza authority. Authority comes from the Lord.
Lord is God-given. This thing, even if you didn't like it, even the power that Akina Saul had, it was ordained. Yeah, it was that generation. That God does everything with a reason.
No, guys.
Yeah.
And we will have a discussion about that.
Yes.
About the religious aspect of it, because that's a big part. But maybe that's a good place to end here. We need to... I don't even know what's ours to do here, but I'm just like, as we become the adults in the room, can we get serious about being the adults?
Right.
Can we understand what the role of the elder is?
Yes.
In the political discourse?
Yes.
Can we have? I actually had a very nice story from a friend of mine, a pastor. That was told, but then his retelling of it was really nice, and this was in the States. Apparently, there's a place where there was, I don't know whether it was during the civil movement or whatever, but people were marching and there were protests, right? And there had been just this whole police and the people fighting. So this friend of mine is a clergy, is a pastor, and what happened was the pastors in that place, the clergy got together, put on their collars.
Yes.
And if these are the people who are marching and these are the police, they came and stood here and said, nobody dies on our watch.
Right.
You do your job.
Yes.
Me, I don't have a problem with you as a policeman. You're an instrument of the state.
Yes.
Do your job. These ones are going to march because they have a constitutional right to do so.
Right.
And I am going to stand here with my collar and the power that it gives me to make sure that nobody dies.
Right. It's potent.
And it was like,
yeah.
That is it. That's what we are missing.
Right.
We're missing the adults, the powerful people in the room who can just be like, as a principal, this is not going to happen. You can have your fights.
Right.
You can have your... whatever issues you're going through as a government, you can have all of that. We don't have a problem with you.
Yeah.
Wanakuongelesha vibaya, come and shout at them, do whatever, but you're not going to kill anybody.
Yes.
You're not going to kill anybody.
Right.
So, and I don't know how we will get to...
That's interesting, because when you've brought the clergy, I've just... That. Yes, I remember like in Martin Luther and those kinds of things.
For the clergy, but
for the adults. Yes, the adults.
The adults
stand in the gap.
Stand in the gap.
Yes.
Stand in the middle.
Right.
Right? As people are running around, stand.
Yeah.
Stand.
Man, that's been beautiful. To the heroines of Butere Girls, children. To the heroic children at Butere Girls, we are very proud of you and we stand with you, and we hope that our thoughts and prayers are with you, and even in word deed, we hope that we can do our best to ensure that we are protected. If you're an adult, please be an adult. Ensure we do not pull kids into this nonsense that we find ourselves embroiled in. And I think this, I'm reaching here, but also could be with the current divorce culture that we have. I'm reaching it, but that attitude of where just children started being neglected, and as long as they are fed and they have pocket money, we stopped, like parents just stopped caring for kids. Yeah. Can we, as my arch enemy has said, can we be the adults in the room and stand in the gap? And thank you. This has been a beautiful episode. To the playwrights, please keep doing your thing. To every artist, do not stop. And as a country, let us protect our children. To every high school goer, every festival goer, we are proud of you that you're participating in co-curricular activities. And see you in the next one.
See you in the next one.